Time to be doing that bullshit. On some good news.
All right, let's get it. Welcome back, everybody. This is BS with Brian Simpson, episode 29. We're making it. 30 weeks strong with Rob and myself. Rob, I don't usually do this, but there's some strong opinions in the comments under the video of the last episode.
Well, you know that I don't read comments.
Oh, I read. Well, the thing is, I don't usually. What I try to do is I try to give it like the first 24 hours. But the YouTube, I think it's called the YouTube Studio app. It will keep that notification up there until you clear them. So you either have to delete them, like them, or block them. You can't just be like, I saw them and it goes away. They just stay there and clog up the list, right? So I end up reading a lot of the comments because I'm obsessed with having no notifications. But this person says,
Are you at inbox zero by any chance? Are you the kind of person that keeps your inbox at zero?
Yeah, I need that.
I have 27,000 unread emails in my.
Yeah, I mean, it gets out of control, and then I have to like take a day and be like, I got to clear all of this. And I'm sure I've deleted some stuff I probably need. But Blitzwave says Gina Carano is a great example of cancellation based on political views. I don't know who that is.
Gina Carano is a former MMA fighter turned actress. She was in, what's it called, Razor Wire or Haywire or something like that. That was kind of her big break a long time ago. And then she was in The Mandalorian, and she got snipped from that.
For what? She was like like a Trump supporter or something?
Well, it was some Twitter shit. I'm not sure what the Twitter beef was. Let's see, Twitter, Gina. Well, what does this person say about just that she is?
No, they just said Gina Carano, Johnny Depp was canceled until the trial, and Justin Timberlake was near canceled for making a breakup song about Britney Spears. Taylor Swift has entered the chat. I guess, yeah. I mean, you gave some good examples. Sean Joseph says, so Peep's been asserting that Gary Coleman and Bushwick Bill wasn't black hobbits. Okay, yeah, it's not funny. I guess that's pretty funny. I don't know. Kevin Cruz says, I don't care what they say. Even speech that you don't like is protected by free speech. And that argument about consequences for your actions is like saying that if you don't want to get shot by a Muslim, you shouldn't have drawn a caricature of Muhammad. That consequences is disproportional to the action. It's not only deplatforming a person. I've seen people lose their jobs, livelihood, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, I mean, but we're just arguing in circles. I see that. The next person says, I love you, Brian, but Rob's take on cancel culture is 100% on point. Cancel culture is just shitty people not getting supported. Colin was not a shitty person, so he wouldn't have gotten canceled. Well, that's... I
that
guess,
might be overly simplistic in the other direction.
Right. Well, the thing is, my argument is that we are willing to give away the power of cancellation under the false assumption that that power will only be used against the bad people. And that's literally never happened in the history of humankind. Power is always given up for the worst thing, right? It's like, usually it's the children. They say, we're protecting the children. That's why you can't say certain shit on TV. Or we're only going after terrorists. We're spying on everybody. It's that. It's like we're more than willing to we're all for it until it happened to somebody that we don't think should be canceled. And then it's because people are quick. Every time this happens, people go, well, Twitter's a private company that can do whatever they want and read the terms of service and all this other shit. And then as soon as Bernie Sanders gets banned in the middle of an election. Then people are like, wait a minute, they unduly affected. Because here's the other thing too. I often hear the thing about, freedom of speech is against the government, blah, 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 right? But the same people that say that, I mean, obviously we know that all the amendments apply to the government and not private businesses. But the same people that say that would totally agree that we live in an oligarchy. There's not, in effect, there is no separation between the government and the richest corporations. You know what I'm saying? I mean, sure. The Second Amendment is put into place so that a politician can't silence you. But that same politician can go, hey, CEO of Twitter, I don't like what this fucking person is saying. It's just the indirect, you know what I mean? So it's like, I just want you to be intellectually consistent. I'm against any entity having the kind of the power that can silence someone just willy-nilly, because I don't want it to happen to me. And everyone that's for it thinks that it can never happen to them or someone that's a quote-unquote good. I mean, that's what you're saying here. George Carlin was a good guy, so it wouldn't have happened to good guys. It's like, what the fuck does that even mean? How do you know George? I mean, I don't know how old you are, sir, but George Carlin was not a good guy to everybody. There's a lot of people that wanted him to shut the fuck up. It's a lot of people that if they had the power, they would have stopped him from talking. You know what I mean? So I don't know. And like I said, it's the arguments against what I'm saying always involve the worst possible people or the worst possible outcome. You're for some terrorists being able to put a bomb recipe on. It's like, yeah, I mean, I don't want that to happen. But if that's the price for me being able to say whatever I want, then sure, let it be. That's how I feel.
Well, let me bring up a couple of things that what you just said there, because I agree broadly with what you just said, but I think that there is some nuance that gets lost in it. So let's separate out a couple of different boxes here. Okay. One is let's separate out moderation. Like literally, I mean like internet moderation, right? Like on a message board or on a social media platform or something like that. There needs to be some level of actual moderation on these things, because like you remember old boards when they didn't have good mods, right? They fucking sucked and everybody left, right? So so I think that we can separate out moderation, which you can just have moderation that removes, threats against people, attempts to get people swatted, doxing people online, right? Putting out their actual name and photo and location and workplace and stuff like that.
Things that lead to direct harm.
Yeah. So we can separate out stuff, and even stuff that doesn't necessarily lead to direct harm, but. Well, okay, so let's separate that first. Then let's take another category, which is things that don't lead to direct or immediate harm, right? So they're not calling for somebody to be assassinated, let's say, but they are saying things that broadly create a negative experience for the people on the platform, which some of these can be beyond the pale, right? So for instance, if I show gore photos of children from like a horrible car accident, well, nobody's being actively harmed by that, but you can certainly see the vested interest that a social media platform would have for preventing that stuff from being on their platform, right?
Yeah, but what if we in a subreddit that's for that? Gore fans / r Gore fans.
I think that you probably are going to need to have different pseudo-legal regimes for different platforms based off of the way that people interact on them. So, for instance, I expect a stronger sense of moderation on a platform that's open to everyone, including children or people in other countries where the laws around free speech and what can be shown might be different. I would expect a tighter leash in moderation on that than I would on I'm in a ton of Discords where there's plenty of shit that's in there that you wouldn't be able to show on Twitter.
Yeah, but that's exactly what I'm getting at, right? It's like, think about the example you just used. Like somebody that's posting pictures of children in horrific situations or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. But it's like, that's always the justification. And then what ends up happening is it gets abused to the point of ridiculousness, and 99% of the uses of that moderation are for, perfect example, it just happened to us. Did you know we have a copyright strike?
I did know that, yes.
Because the word Hobbits is in the thumbnail. That's just a computer randomly deciding.
Wait, is that actually what it says? I didn't read that part.
No, it doesn't say that's why, but I can't imagine. We didn't play anybody's music or video or anything in that. There's nothing else in the episode that it could possibly be.
Yeah, we did. We played a rapper's music in that episode.
What rapper?
You played it on the phone. We played the FN Mecca.
Facts.
Rap song.
Facts. Yeah, you're right about that.
The Hobbits thing is really funny though, because that's a famous Dungeons and Dragons thing, that originally halflings were called hobbits, and then they got a cease and desist from the estate of J.R.R. Tolkien, and they had to change them to halflings.
Oh, okay, yeah, but then also remember it happened to us a few weeks ago. I think it was the clip about the story about the monkeys attacking people. Oh, and I said I could fuck a monkey up by myself. Flagged. Inciting violence, right? It's that. And there's no one to appeal. To appeal your content to get back up on Instagram, you have to basically write a fucking book report. Mm-hmm. You have to write like a 2-paragraph thing about why your content isn't really offensive and why it should be restored and all this other stuff. And it's just a computer that banned your shit.
I think that highlights a different issue though, which I do think is an important issue. We have had. Not on this show, but on other shows, like we just recently got a strike, and it's completely impossible to determine why you got the strike. Oh, yes. You can try to read the tea leaves and try to figure out, okay, they're referencing this thing. I guess it might have been this conversation, but we don't know if it was one of the ads that triggered it. We don't know if we think it probably was one of the ads, but we're not sure which one because we had 2 ads on that show. So, and there's nobody that you can talk to. We appealed the strike, and they just said, yeah, we checked it, and we still think that you deserve the strike, but they don't tell you why. So I think that is an issue where there is no accountability from these platforms.
It's a copyright claim. I shouldn't say the word strike, but it also says that it's a copyright claim, but it doesn't take the video down, which I guess means this person gets some of the money.
They would get the money if we were on YouTube ads.
Right. That's why I didn't monetize this shit, you fucks. You don't get to hold this over my head. But that might get a strike. Who knows what these people want? That's what I'm saying. It always starts out with, well, we're just trying to protect the most vulnerable people from the worst thing. And then 99% of the power, it gets used to fuck with the average person that's not doing anything wrong. Because here's the thing. I should be able to offend you if I want to. I should be able to say something that hurts your feelings. And you should be able to avoid that if you want. Like if it's something that's completely unavoidable to you, maybe you can make the argument for that. Maybe you can't say pussy on the radio because that's being broadcast just wherever. Mm-hmm. But usually on the internet, you have to go somewhere with purpose. You're not gonna end up in r/suicide by mistake. You know what I mean? Or r/how to build a bomb.
But I don't think that people are really up in arms over people being canceled from Reddit. When people talk,
Reddit. I'm talking about what we were specifically talking about last week was how Andrew Tate just got disappeared from everything. That should at least give you pause that could happen to somebody, because the only reason you're okay with that happening is because it's someone you think is a scumbag, which presupposes that it can't happen to somebody that isn't a scumbag, which is not true. Every single time in history, we've given a big entity power to do harm or something of this nature. They always abuse it. So to assume that this power won't be abused at some later date, like remember how scared everyone was when Elon was about to buy Twitter? Remember how outraged everybody was? Because before that, Twitter had banned Trump and a few other conservative people, and people were like, well, yeah, read the terms of service. And as soon as they thought that somebody that they fucking didn't agree with politically was about to own the motherfucker, now all of a sudden, everyone's in danger. It's a problem. And this is what I'm talking about. And it was like sweet, poetic, maybe justice isn't the right word, but it was poetic to watch how people's reaction to the fact that someone else might have this power. Someone that might use the power the other way, now they have it. He didn't buy it, but it was ultimately about to be in his hands, and you would not
Probably
have fucking
still
liked
will.
that. Well, yeah, and they're trying to make him buy it still, which is wild. But that's what I'm talking about. Is the assumption that only the bad guys are affected by someone having too much power is it's insane. It's insane.
I agree with you. I agree with you that it's gross that a private company has this much, or really an oligopoly of 3 or 4 companies have this much control over our contemporary culture and how much money is in your pocket and whether or not you get kicked out of your apartment and all these different things, right? Whether you lose your job. I hate that a private company has that much control over it. I think that where I disagree with you is the model that you just verbalized, this notion that, well, there are individuals that control these corporations, and if you get on their bad side, they will dump you from the platform. I don't think that even if Elon Musk ends up being forced to buy Twitter, that Twitter will change that much, because I think that it's not about individuals at the top of these corporations. It's not about their personal beliefs or their personal politics.
Are you kidding me, Rob? You telling me you think a motherfucker that spent billions of dollars to compete with Jeff Bezos' space race isn't petty enough to be like, you know what? Fuck this other famous person that doesn't like me. But
I mean,
also,
it's
why
possible.
take the chance?
Yeah, but the thing is that that's a publicly traded company, So it's like, it's in the same way that like you remove Jack Dorsey from Twitter, like the company still moves on. It's the same thing with people focus way too much on like Zuckerberg when it comes to Facebook Meta. And it's like, well, no, Facebook Meta operates under the principles of Facebook Meta. If Zuckerberg ever got out of pocket and started doing things based off of just his own personal desires or his own personal politics, then vote of no confidence, kick the motherfucker out, put somebody else in as CEO. The board would get rid of him. Like that's the power is the corporations themselves, which are not human entities and don't have any individual political viewpoints except to make more money.
Well, that's a political viewpoint. Making more money.
Well, right, that's what I'm saying.
Doing what makes them more money, or rather preventing things that make them less money. They have an agenda.
Yeah.
So what's to stop those boards from behaving in that way against individuals that threaten their bottom line?
Nothing. But that's exactly what I'm saying. Like people talk about like YouTube, like it's like, oh, they're like, whenever you talk about cancel culture with people, it's always focused on a handful of either like quote unquote offensive comedians or something, or like right-wing politicians or celebrities who have been kicked off of Twitter or who have been kicked off of YouTube or kicked off of Instagram or whatever the fuck. But in reality, if you go on like YouTube, the content that's being suppressed generally is more left-wing anyway.
How so?
I mean, the most popular things on YouTube are fucking Ben Shapiro and PragerU. Like right-wing, like if the goals of YouTube and Twitter were to cleanse the earth of right-wing viewpoints, then why would the most popular outlets on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube be Daily Wire and PragerU and all these other right-wing entities. They get orders of magnitude more viewers than any left-wing outlet that you can imagine.
But that's just because there are fewer of them. Liberals tend to eat their own more than conservatives do. So that the liberal side, the left is way more divided than the right. So if someone from the right gets popular, almost the entire right supports that person.
Right. That's what I'm saying
because the biggest people are right wing, but there's way less of them.
I don't think that's true.
Yeah, sure there is. Yeah.
What are you basing that off of? I mean, I don't have any proof to the contrary, but I'm surprised that you would say that.
Yeah, because you started listing conservative big voices on the conservative side, and the list is not that long on big names on YouTube that are conservative.
I mean, it depends on which pocket you get into. I mean, I'm talking about if you look at okay, what I'm getting at is if the goal of Twitter, YouTube, I mean, let's just say Google and Facebook. That's what we're talking about. We're just talking about Google and fucking Facebook, and the various media platforms that they own and operate. If their goal was to silence right-wing voices because everybody at the top of these like Silicon Valley tech giants are nominally left-wing, they're doing a fucking shitty job at it because the biggest voices are all right-wing.
It doesn't have to be their goal at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Their goals change, like you said, with whatever they think is going to be the most profitable thing to them.
Right.
Well,
but what I'm getting at though is the people that are being canceled are not people being like deplatformed and everything. They're not Gina Carano's. They're like people who are trying to start a union at an Amazon facility. That's who gets silenced.
Those people have been kicked off social media?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Are you talking about the dude? I forget his name, from the New York Amazon warehouse.
Not Chris Smalls, but I'm talking about. I'm talking about like. I don't have it in front of me right now.
So you're saying a union organizer was deplatformed the same way Andrew Tate was? Because I didn't know that.
I'm not going to say the same way Andrew Tate was, because Andrew Tate's kind of a unique situation. So
because he was running a pyramid scheme?
Well, he was running a pyramid scheme, allegedly, and he was sex trafficking, allegedly. And apparently there was also some issues with when he was in London or something like that. I don't know enough about it to like really have a strong opinion about it. But if he was just kicked off because he said some misogynistic things, then why is there so much misogyny on these platforms still? You know what I mean? Like, why aren't all these other people canceled? That's what I don't get.
Because there's a difference between just someone, because the mobs on either side don't just hate the people that say fucked up shit. Mm-hmm. They hate the ones that are popular. It's like,
sure, yeah.
You can get on Twitter and say something misogynistic, and like if not enough people will notice for you to become the face of the opposition. But if you're the face of the opposition, that's where all the attention is going to get directed. I mean, I don't know who's been helped by him being not on these things. I don't even know how the fuck this dude was famous for like he was one of the most famous people in America, or maybe in the West, for like 4 months, and then he's just gone. I don't know what that is. I don't even. It's actually kind of confusing, like how he became.
My understanding, and I'm sure if there's a commenter who can clue us into exactly how this worked, but my understanding is that he figured out game respect game. It was a fairly novel Ponzi scheme where he leveraged the way that social media worked and the way that the tagging system worked, so that he was essentially, you know how in a pyramid scheme you have a down line and a top line,
Right.
Or a downflow and upflow or whatever
Right,
the hell they call it. Yeah. He basically figured out a way to capture that model, but where it was the tagging system. So he ended up having his downline were people that were taking their own time and energy to create content for him on all these social media platforms, especially like Instagram and TikTok, where he got an army of downline posters to basically sock puppet for him, because then they would get their own downliners posting for them.
So that, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, from all the things I've heard about this guy, that is the only thing that he for sure actually did. Everything else is accusations. I haven't seen any evidence of any of the other things he was accused of. I've only seen that used as like a justification for him being treated differently than, like, all the other scams and schemes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I mean, why the fuck does Herbalife still have a
I wish
Twitter
they didn't.
account?
I think it's insane.
I mean that's what if that's what we doing, if we out here trying to protect people from scams, I mean, because social media is half of it is about deception. Why don't we get rid of some of them filters that make people look fucking 20 years younger? If we try to protect people from deception, I don't know.
But so I think the answer to that question is that they're not really interested in getting, because these platforms are fundamentally, they're advertising platforms. That's the entire purpose. People talk about them like they're a public square, but they're not a public square. They're a private square where people advertise shit. So if Herbalife,
aren't they a mix of both?
well, yeah, obviously, yeah. Obviously, there's some sort of there. I mean, you can't compare it one to one to something that existed back in 1776, because nothing like this really existed.
No. I mean, essentially, every advertising model involves going somewhere where people gather. People just gather now digitally. It's like it's somewhere a bunch of people are going to be. You put an ad. I mean, that's always been how they do ads. I don't think this is any different. This isn't like a special case.
Right, but what I'm getting at is that a lot of times people talk about these social media platforms as if they're like a public park or a public square. And I think that misses the true purpose of them, because they're not running these servers and keeping these archives and connecting us in this way, like out of the goodness of their heart or out of any sense of civic duty. They're doing it so they can get advertising dollars. And so you look at somebody like Andrew Tate, and it's like, it's probably like he probably got kicked off of the platforms because what he was doing was kind of gaming the algorithm, which that's fine. I mean, everybody's got to do some sort of SEO and shit like that. Again, like game, respect, game. But it wasn't making them any money. And he was becoming so loud and so big that it was changing I hesitate to use this term, but the culture of the platforms that he was on, where
I think he was creating the illusion that that's what was happening. Like you said, he used the algorithm against. And here's another thing: the algorithm is kind of evil. You know what I noticed? I was tagged recently in, or I was how Instagram adds the collaborator function, right? Mm-hmm. So I did a show. I did a crowd work show for Jeremiah Watkins called Stand Up on the Spot. Right, and he pulled a clip of me arguing with this vegan lady. I mean, it was just funny. It wasn't really an argument, but it was just me making fun of her. But that's a controversial subject, right? Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, I start getting 500, 1,000 followers every few days. And this video is the most viral video I've ever posted. Like more than my Netflix appearance, more than my Comedy Central appearance, more than my Joe Rogan appearance. And it's still to this day growing. And I couldn't for the life of me figure out what the fuck is the difference. But I realized it's because there's people in the comments that are still arguing with each other. Mm-hmm. It's been up now for about 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. And there are 2 or 3 threads where they've literally every day been going in, fuck you, here's my facts. And it's the argument. It's the the controversy is what the algorithm. So it's like every time someone comments on your shit, they show it to more people.
Right.
Every time there's a back and forth, they show it to more people that haven't seen it. And so it's sort of, he took advantage of that. That's why he said all this crazy ass shit and would have other people share it, tag it, blah, blah. I mean, he literally took over the internet. I mean, taking over the internet, that's a little extreme. But, he just got famous on purpose without a sex tape.
But what ended up happening was, so here's my pet theory on why he actually got kicked off. I think that his brand became so dominant so quickly. And like any video that you watch with him, it's bullshit. It's just misogynistic horse shit. It sucks. And you don't want to see it. I was on, like if I went on Instagram, I would get fed like clips and they would be fucking Andrew Tate. And it's like, I don't fucking want to see this shit.
But it's because they know you don't want to see it.
I know. But
they want you to be angry about it.
Right. But here's the thing, Brian. I'm built different, so I just don't fucking open that app anymore.
Right. But most people will be like, "What? What is he saying? Fuck him!" and go in the comments. Blah, 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 blah.
Right. But so what I'm getting at though is I would guess that there was some internal data showing that, hey, the way that this guy is leveraging our algorithm, leveraging our platform, he is making, he's so, I don't want to say so controversial. He's so shitty that people are closing the app and they're not coming back. And or there's a longer period of time before they come back to the app. And we're not making any money off of this dude's ads.
So you think, wait a minute, you think that happened on all the platforms simultaneously? That they all just happened to notice at the same time that they wasn't making no money?
No, but I mean, I think that if you follow who owns all the different platforms, it's basically 2 companies. And so the idea that both companies would come to a similar decision at the same time.
You trying not to say agreement.
Well,
they
I mean, maybe they colluded. I have no idea. I don't think it makes a difference from the platform side. Like if we're passing judgment on the platform side, but I'm talking about it from I can see a very obvious way in which this was a smart business decision for them, and I think it's just always about business. I think people try to moralize about it, and they try to look for some sort of consistent or coherent theory that these platforms are operating by, and it's like, well, no, the coherent theory is like whatever makes us money is what we'll do. So they have to ride this line where if they're just kicking everybody off the app that they deem to be toxic or whatever, then right there they're going to cut out like 50% of the user base. They can't make any money that way, right? Okay. They need to keep people just angry enough to stay engaged, but not so angry that they stop loading the app, right?
All right, well, I want to see if we still get copyright claims, so I'm going to say Hobbit. And I'm going to see if that's the thing. We can call this Hobbit 2. But but we've been talking about this. Let's move to another thing because, you know, what is not debatable is that I am a perfectly fair-minded modern-day philosopher, and Rob is a liberal cuck that wants the terrorists to win.
That's true.
So our followers know, when they know it's what. Let me get one email in before we move to articles. I'm sorry. Damn, this is long as shit.
Oh, is this the one about fascism?
Yeah.
We could do a whole episode about that guy. So
Okay, well
let's keep that one in the chamber.
Yeah, let's say I'm gonna save that one. Mark as unread. Mark as unread. Yeah, let's do that and star. Okay. Kevin Martin says, "Thank you for answering my email on air regarding reviews of consumer technology. I've been exposed to comedy at a young age by my parents. I watched George Carlin, Richard Pryor, and Paul Mooney. I am curious to know your personal and professional opinion regarding Paul Mooney and his legacy. Thank you." Well, that's kind of a broad question. I love Paul Mooney. I like my mom. He was one of my mom's favorites. He told it like it is. He told his truth. Maybe he was a little... he rubbed some people like he wasn't everybody's tastes. But I think in the comedy community, he's recognized as a legend. I mean, specifically in the Black comedy community, he's definitely recognized as a legend. But I mean, that's really my only opinion about his. Like, I mean, his comedy was great. I got to meet him towards the end there. But yeah, I'm a big Paul Mooney fan. I think a lot of people got introduced to him from the Negrodamus segments on the Chappelle Show, but he been around for a long fucking time. Like, he started with, he worked for Richard Pryor and all of that. Worked with Richard Pryor, I guess. And one more. Lazarus comic. Okay, he said, "Hey Brian, you asked and I sent it, so I had recommended a comic book called Lazarus a ways back. I don't remember that. That seems to be your speed. It's about future where the world is owned by 16 families of massive wealth. Each family has their own specialties, but you primarily follow the Carlisle family and their Lazarus, a 6'2" sword-wielding badass gal named Forever who is able to heal and seems unkillable. The Carlisles have excelled in scientific advancements and genetic modification." Well, I'm sold right there. Science fiction, future, revenge. That's all the things I enjoy the most. And I do remember, so there's a comic book, it's co-created by Greg Ruckel, who's one of the best comic writers, especially when it comes to research. He also wrote The Old Guard. The Old Guard was awesome on Netflix. But here's the thing. I remember you recommending this, but when I looked it up, it's like there's a shit ton of books and there's no way to buy like a box set or nothing. There's no way to it's almost like you trying to buy, like you trying to get into like the Dune books or something like that, where it's like it's a lot of scattershot and you got to go find like a wiki to tell you. I just can't find them. Like, there'll be one thing here or one thing there, but if I just wanted to pay like a couple $100 and get every single one, there's no way to do that. And it seems to also be like a tabletop game, kind of like Cyberpunk 2077, So it's a lot of it is confusing. Like, I don't know, am I buying the storybook? Am I buying the rule book for the tabletop game? I mean, it's just a lot. It's a lot going on, and I don't know why it's not all in one place. Maybe it's just too old, and you have to have collected shit. I don't know. You know what? Actually, a better thing to compare it to would be like Warhammer. Yeah. Like trying to get a comprehensive Warhammer collection. It's impossible.
Yeah, where do you start?
You can't. Yeah, there's nowhere to start. So I would love to get into this. It sounds great, especially if it's written by the Old Guard people, because that was awesome too. But I'll try my best to get back into it. And okay. So one more thing.
Have you before we move on from this, have you read Metabarons by any chance? You ever heard of Metabarons? It's kind of similar. It's a French comic. It's from Humanoids Publishing. Maybe it's Belgian. But you'd love it. It's far into the future, sort of a space fantasy thing, very Dune-esque or whatever. But the premise is that there is this lineage of metabarons who are these like warriors that choose somebody to become the next metabaron, and they have a ritual which I won't spoil here. But essentially what ends up happening is there is the main meta baron who's the latest one, like thousands and thousands of years in the future, and he's so good at fighting that wars now are fought over who can bid more money to hire the meta baron to fight for them. And so all of the political intrigue is about getting resources from people to just get enough money together to pay the meta baron to fight the war for you.
Okay, I like that. That's kind of like...
And then the series kind of goes back in time and you see how the meta baron lineage came to be, and each one of them has their own adventures and things like that.
That's kind of like what... That's kind of what, like, why Ender from Ender's Game, why he left Earth to prevent that from him, because he was the ultimate one. Yeah, I like that. Okay, meta barons, and it's in French, you said?
I mean, you can get it in English now. I mean, it's been reprinted a few times, and it's linear too, which is nice.
All right, okay, all right. I got something else to obsess about. Lord knows. By the way,
it's by Alejandro Jodorowsky. So that's I need to mention that, or else people are going to jump on me.
Oh, so there's multiple meta barons? Or people are just going to be like,
no. I just forgot to. I mean, he's one of the OGs of European comics.
Speaking of OG shit, you know that. So the new it's not the new season, but the new episodes of Bastard are out.
Yes.
And now I'm almost. It's like I said, I haven't watched it in 20 years, but I'm pretty sure we're at a point like where Netflix is. Where they're basically doing what they want with the story. Like it's past the point where they're with the original story. You know? At least not that I remember. It shit happening that I don't remember. You know, so.
But isn't the one on Netflix, so the one on Netflix that I'm watching is like new. Like that started in this year. It's not the 1988 one.
It is not, no. I have the 1988 one.
Okay.
No, this one's new. It's in HD. The story sticks to the original for maybe the first half of the first season, and then they start sort of taking liberties. And now I think, the first half of the season came out like a month or two ago. At least that's when I noticed it.
Yeah.
And then these news episodes just dropped like a few days ago, and now it's a bunch of shit happening that I don't remember happening. Yeah, and you know. But it's entertaining to me still. But it's still I can't believe it's on that. Like it definitely wouldn't play on network TV for sure. Okay, let's see here. Oh yeah, so you sent me a link of these. So there's these old white Scottish dudes or Irish dudes, or are they British dudes?
I think they're from Northern England.
Yeah, so there's these old motherfuckers from Great Britain that a few months ago, I saw a video of them rapping. Now, keep in mind, they can rap, like their raps aren't, you know. It was almost like impressive, because they're old white guys. Like they don't. It almost looked like they were doing it as a joke. But then you see another one and another one and another one, and it's a rap group. It's like I'm guessing they're all over 60 easily. And they are a serious rap group, and the music they're making isn't that bad. Because when I first saw it, I was like, "This has to be stopped." You know what I mean? The first time I saw it, no, that's not true. The first time I saw it, I was like, "This is funny." Then I saw a second one, and I was like, "This is okay." And then the third one I saw, I was like, "This needs to be over." They playing with it, you know what I mean? But then they just kept going and kept going and kept going. And I never brought it up to Rob. And then he sent me one of the videos yesterday, and I was like, oh shit, these motherfuckers are still around. So, you know, they out here making music. And what was the name of the group?
The Northern Boys.
The Northern Boys.
The newish video is Party Time.
I love drugs and sketchy pills, and the favourite ones are the ones that kill quickly. When I go when my loved ones miss me, well, the answer's no.
Yeah, and it's like, how many bars? Because here's the other thing. Can we see, this is what I'm talking about. The copyright shit. Like, I'm supposed to be able to satirize or criticize something, right? It's like, I'm supposed to be able to play enough of the video for me to say something about it.
Yeah, so, YouTube's ability to properly apply fair use is dog shit.
Right. So it's like I'm sitting here talking about something that I'm not allowed to show without giving my money to motherfuckers that didn't earn it. Right? That's wild to me. Anyway, maybe we can play a few seconds. I don't know. Or play it in silence. I don't know what the fuck they want us to do.
I'll drop a few bars in there, and I'll keep it under 10 seconds and see if they get us for it. It's fine.
Okay. But yeah, that's the Northern Boys. Check them out. I would in email or comment under this video. I would love to see what you think. By the way, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you want your questions answered, you want your emails answered, email me at bswithbriansimpson@gmail.com. I read all those emails. Even if I don't reply, I'm gonna read it. Even if I don't say your email on the podcast, I've read your email. And I try to reply to them all on the podcast. Some of them are redundant. Also, don't send booking requests to this email. That's not what it's for. This is for my podcast listeners only. Okay. So boom, we got time for a couple of articles. Oh well, let's keep with the theme. This article, the headline of this article is YouTube's dislike and not interested buttons barely work, study finds. Yeah, of course. See, that's why. Okay, before I read the article, I remember Rob and I were discussing this way back around like episode 6 or 7 about telling people to like and subscribe. Because conventional wisdom in the YouTube community is that if you don't tell people to like and subscribe, then they won't. I don't believe that. I don't believe that that's true. But that's just my hunch. I don't have any data to back that up. But I do know for a fact that someone liking and subscribing to your shit does not. So if you like this and subscribe to this, it's not going to necessarily tell you the next time I put a video up. In fact, like I'm on my personal YouTube, I'm subscribed to hundreds of things that they never show me. They only show me the things that I have recently watched. They don't go out of their way to make sure I see the stuff that I'm subscribed to. They show me the things that I've watched or the things related to those things that other people are watching, but they never show me what I actually want to see. So I'm not surprised that they're telling us that the dislike and not interested buttons barely work, because again, you could tell them that you're not interested in something and they'll literally show it to you 5 seconds later. So let's see. The article says even when users tell YouTube they aren't interested in certain types of videos, similar recommendations keep coming. A new study by Mozilla found. Using video recommendations data from more than 20,000 YouTube users, Mozilla researchers found that buttons like not interested, dislike, and stop recommending channel and remove from watch history are largely ineffective at preventing similar content from being recommended. Even at their best, these buttons still allow through more than half the recommendations, similar to what a user said they weren't interested in. At their worst, the buttons barely made a dent in blocking similar videos. To collect data from real videos and users, Mozilla researchers enlisted volunteers who used the Foundation's Regrets Reporter, a browser extension that overlays a general stop recommending button to YouTube videos viewed by participants. On the back end, users were randomly assigned a group, so different signals were sent to YouTube each time they clicked the button placed by Mozilla. Dislike, not interested, don't recommend channel, remove from history, and a control group for whom no feedback was sent to the platform. Using data collected from over 500 million recommended videos, research assistants created over 44,000 pairs of videos, one rejected video, plus a video subsequently recommended by YouTube. Researchers then assessed pairs themselves or used machine learning to decide whether the recommendation was too similar to the video a user rejected. Compared to the baseline control group, sending the dislike and not interested signals were only marginally effective at preventing bad recommendations, preventing 12% of 11% of bad recommendations, respectively. Don't recommend channel and remove from history buttons were slightly more effective. They prevented 43% and 29% of bad recommendations. But researchers say the tools offered by the platform are still inadequate for steering away unwanted content. Yeah, motherfucker. It's like if I say don't recommend, that means 100%. YouTube should respect the feedback users share about their experience, treating them as meaningful signals about how people want to spend their time on the platform. Researchers write. YouTube spokesperson Alina Hernandez says these behaviors are intentional. Whoa. These behaviors are intentional because the platform doesn't try to block all content related to a topic. But Hernandez criticized the report, saying it doesn't consider how YouTube's controls are designed. Well, you won't tell us, motherfucker. Importantly, our controls do not filter out entire topics or viewpoints, as this could have negative effects for viewers, like creating echo chambers. Hernandez told The Verge, "We welcome academic research on our platform, which is why we recently expanded data API access through our YouTube Researchers program. Mozilla's report doesn't take into account how our systems actually work, and therefore it's difficult for us to glean many insights." Well, I think it doesn't take a genius to glean that if I say I don't want to see some shit, that I want you to stop showing it to me.
Right.
I think what the fuck? How else is your system designed? That's wild to me. That's a wild way to look at shit. You know. Meanwhile, I can't say Hobbit. You know, or I can't show. Why were we talking about that rapper? Did they get banned from something?
Which one? FN Mecca?
Yeah.
Well, they got dropped because they're not real.
That's not even a real person.
It's not a real person.
So who getting the money?
The two people who pretended like they programmed an AI when they really just animated a cartoon character.
Oh man. Oh man. They're not taking into it. Wait a minute. That thing you said you never wanted to see? Yeah, we showing it to you, sure, but you got to understand how our shit is set up. That's what YouTube is saying. You just don't understand how it's designed. Well, I thought a button that said "Don't show this to me," I thought it would do that. Yeah, you're right. Well, how we're such fools? We misread the button that says "Dislike" and "Don't show."
Look, you just don't understand how the YouTube algorithm works. Oh, well then tell me how it works. Oh no, we're not going to do that.
Just like when I subscribe, I want to see that shit.
Yeah, I have noticed a ton of that where I'll be like, man, I haven't seen anything from Shadiversity in a while, and I'll like go over to them. There's like 8 new videos that I have not seen.
Well, yeah, Rob. So you didn't understand when you click subscribe. That's not exactly we didn't mean like it's not like a subscription where every magazine comes to your house. Right. It's not like that. Why would you think that?
But that's what I'm talking about. Like, there are things that I am subscribed to, which, to be honest, they're mostly about fucking role-playing games and comic books and heavy metal music and like art and technology. That's pretty much it. Yet I still get I still get fucking PragerU and Ben Shapiro and political shit that I have zero interest in watching.
My subscriptions are very, very similar to yours, except I go with a little more misogyny in mine.
Okay.
But that's just so I can know how the enemy thinking,
Yeah, you have to get your Kevin Samuels reps in.
Right.
R.I.P.
Well, he's just hilarious to me. Well, that's the thing. I tend, unless I think the people I'm listening to, unless I think the personalities are straight up evil, I look at them as entertainment. It's almost like they're like heels, like the way you watch The Undertaker or Hollywood Hogan when he wore all black. It's like you watch them because they're awful, like Howard Stern, at least the old Howard Stern or young Howard Stern, depending on how you look at it. Anyway, I don't know, but I don't get this. Anyway, to continue, besides YouTube, other platforms like TikTok and Instagram have introduced more and more feedback tools for users to train the algorithm, supposedly to show them relevant content. But users often complain that even when flagging that they don't want to see something, similar recommendations persist. It's not always clear what different controls actually do. Mozilla researcher Becca Rick says, and platforms aren't transparent about how feedback is taken into account. I think that in the case of YouTube, the platform is balancing user engagement with user satisfaction, which is ultimately a trade-off between recommending content that leads people to spend more time on the site and content the algorithm thinks people will like. Rick's told, that's not always true. It's also content that they think you won't like, so you'll spend more time on the platform.
Well, I think that's exactly what they're saying. They're saying that if they show you something that They're trying. They keep showing me Ben Shapiro because they want me to get mad and click on it and be like, "What's this fucking guy saying?"
Well, because you know what though? Because I bet you that they've come to the conclusion that most of the people that subscribe to the things you subscribe to secretly love watching Ben Shapiro.
That's probably true.
You know understand what I'm saying? It's almost like the ways where here's the truth. Most of the hardcore feminists that I've known fuck misogynists. You understand what I'm saying? Like they date people that they date the type of men that they say shouldn't exist. It's like there's a piece of you that wants to prove the other side wrong, or like you're addicted to getting mad at what they say, or I don't know. I'm not a psychologist, but I'm just throwing shit at the wall here. But I know that the behavior is real. I just don't know what motivates it, or what I don't know what the psychological process is. But there's a piece of most people, like you said, you built different. I think I'm built a little different as well. But I think most people unconsciously, they love putting a face to the villain. They love having most people don't like an ominous, they or them, except maybe conspiracy theorists or conspiracy people that are like have whatever the brain disorder is, that's conspiracy theory. But the vast majority of people, they want to have a person that is the enemy. That's why I don't know a single extreme liberal or conservative that doesn't know everything that the other side is up to. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? Like
real or imagined.
Right. Like because I stopped being so into politics years ago for that very reason, because it was like, and now I talk to some of my friends and they like, oh yeah, and can you believe, Jesse Franklin? I'm like, who the fuck is that? I was like, you don't know who that is? Like, no. What's going on? Are they a senator? No, that's the dude that drove the cab with like, okay, well, I'm sorry, but right. I made a purposeful effort to try to remove myself from all the things telling me how to feel, because it was fucking with my emotions. But anyway, I would love to know if we have any listeners that are more educated than me in the psychological phenomenon of being obsessed with your foes. Please clue me in, and don't mention fascism, because that we're gonna have to
do a whole thing on that.
So, actually, no, Rob. You know what we got to do next week? We got to do it at some point. We have to make a whole video on how to secure your social media account. And I said I was going to do this before, but I swear to God, like if I get, I'm going to do this video once and for all and teach people about two-factor authentication. You don't have to be a computer genius. I am not. You don't have to be a hacker. Most people are not. You just have to be like observant and just a little interested, because it's the reason why, like, if I see people don't have a password on their phone, I don't give them my phone number. You know what I'm saying? Because it's at the point where, like, if you being sloppy about your security, you're also endangering the people that you're connected to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You have my address in your phone. You know what I mean? You have other information that can compromise me, and you're not being responsible with it. And it's not that hard. It really isn't. The next time I get a message from somebody going, I was hacked. No, you aren't. You were not hacked. There's not a hacker that specifically targeted you. What it is you've been using the same fucking password since middle school, just changing a couple digits. That shit's on the dark web somewhere on a website, and someone just paid money for it.
But Brian, I put a 1 and an exclamation point at the end of it. It said it was a strong password.
And you know what? That's exactly how we secured the nuclear football. You know? Yeah, we just it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then every year we go. It's 2, 2, 3, 4. It's one of those things. So
that's what's funny. Like, who Captain Crunch is? The hack, like the real hacker, like the old school hacker from the 80s. He talked about that. about how like most hacking is done like the movie Sneakers and not Hackers.
Oh,
where
right.
it's mostly like no, you just like grab a clipboard and you walk into a place and you get an ID and then you just like check in the drawers and somebody's written down their password. That's what hacking is.
Yeah, most hacking is just finding out who's stupid.
Finding the weak link in the chain of security.
That's it.
And finding out what their fucking dog's name is and what year they were born.
Remember the biggest thing? A lot of people don't know this, but I very briefly worked at the Pentagon. And I remember, I again, because I didn't follow the news and stuff like that, but I remember there was a you weren't allowed to bring any USB drives. You weren't allowed to plug anything into your computer. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, that's a strange rule. I mean, obviously I followed it. That's a strange rule. But it turns out that decades ago, I don't know if it was the Russians or the Koreans or whatever, but they compromised a lot of systems because what they would do is they would just leave a USB drive at like a cafe or something that they knew that was near whatever they were trying to get into. And then somebody would go, oh shit, a free USB drive, and start using it. You know what I mean? And then they wait for you to go into your little government office and plug it in somewhere, and now the system's compromised. So it's like that's what most hacking. Most of the people that hack are not hackers. They're not writing code to infiltrate or penetrate your security. You just let them in because you're lazy, right? Or you think that it's complicated, so you don't even try to secure your shit. And it's really not that hard. In fact, yesterday somebody tried to get into my somebody tried to log into my Microsoft account yesterday. Right? It was
concerning.
Right when my flight landed. My flight landed, and for the first time ever, my flight was delayed on arrival. We landed and we couldn't get off the plane because they couldn't figure out what was wrong with the deboarding thing. There was the thing they attached to the plane for you to walk off the ramp. It was broken. Yeah. And it took them like maybe 45 minutes. Anyway, while I'm sitting there, I get a notification from my Microsoft 2FA thing, like someone's trying to log in, like what's the code or whatever. And I was like, fuck them.
What happens is there is an issue where you have somebody like, let's say my dad, who is a smart man, but he's very old and he's very technologically obtuse. And when you force people to make more like stronger passwords and stuff like that, they just give up. And then you end up using something even less secure, because that way they can remember it when they have to log into all these different devices and stuff like that. It's a whole fucking thing.
Yeah. So I think but there's also a solution to that problem. There are password managers. Mm-hmm. There are free ones. There are open source ones. And that's actually what I use. I don't actually know any of my passwords except for the one that will get me into my password manager. And that is just a long nonsensical sentence that wouldn't make sense to anyone. Mm-hmm. You know? Yeah, it's like Malcolm X killed the Jolly Green pager, 1970 had a dream. You know what I mean? Or something like that. Like, it's just a long nonsensical password that would not make sense to nobody, and that's all I have to remember to get into my shit. And then everything else is just it makes it so much better. My passwords are all nonsense. They don't mean anything. They're random characters and digits and numbers and symbols and capital letters. And my password manager fills it all in, and it's connected to my phone and my computer. Anyway, I'm gonna do a whole video on this. We should do a PSA for the internet, because I don't think these are out there. At least I don't think there are any. I don't think there are people in this weird. Because I don't even know if we would call this podcast comedy. Would we?
It's comedy.
It's comedy-tainment, or
at least calling it comedy gives us a little more leeway to be full of shit.
This is edutainment, edutainment. Anyway, it's something like that. But I think the sort of people that do that, the sort of people that would see the content that, like that, are not the sort of people that need to. the people that are subscribed to all the tech blogs and all the computer security channels and all those sorts of things aren't just sort like people like me that watch those things, and people that primarily watch comedy aren't going to necessarily see those things. So I think us making that video would probably inform a lot of motherfuckers on like you're not being hacked. And I'm telling you, I'm gonna make this video in the next couple of weeks, and I'm gonna put it out, and then that's it. That's it. You got 1 week, and after that, the next, if I get a private message about sunglasses or Herbalife or sharing an Andrew Tate video, like I'm gonna block you, and I'm gonna block you on everything. I'm gonna block you on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, on phone, email, and I'm gonna tell the doorman at the front of the building not to let your ass in. All that. I'm gonna file a restraining order too. I'm gonna completely erase you out of my life.
You're gonna cancel them from the Brian Simpson platform.
Yep. I'm canceling you from Planet Brian. Point blank and simple. All right. I think that's a good stopping point.
Yeah. Call it there.
I'm going to be at the DC Improv this weekend. Is it Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, or just Friday and Saturday? So it's so it's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at the DC Improv. I believe all the VIP tickets are sold out already. There's still a few general admission tickets left, and obviously my family members that I already told not to wait to the last minute to ask me for tickets are now asking me for tickets. But there's still a few tickets available for those of y'all that want to purchase them. And what else?
Homestead, PA.
Oh yeah. So then I'm also going to be in at the Pittsburgh Improv. Right after that, the following weekend, the 29th, 30th, 1st, and 2nd. And, then I have a sweet, merciful break before we hit Cleveland, November 11th and 12th, and Raleigh, North Carolina, November 1st, 2nd, and 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and then Davenport, Iowa, December 10th. I'm sorry. Raleigh, North Carolina is it's December 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And then Davenport is the 10th. And that is the end of the tour for this year. So those are the last chances to come see your boy. Anything we need to plug, Rob? Anything else?
No, that's it. No, that's good.
Trying to be doing
we don't care how you shave your balls anymore. That's a good news.
Nope.
Yeah, be on the lookout for this password security video. Okay. Thank y'all for listening. I'll see y'all next week.